When they came to the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around them and the teachers of the law arguing with them. As soon as all the people saw Jesus, they were overwhelmed with wonder and ran to greet him. "What are you arguing with them about?" he asked. A man in the crowd answered, "Teacher, I brought you my son who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of speech. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they could not." "You unbelieving generation," Jesus replied, "how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me."
Mark chapter 9, verses 14 to 19. Well, every place and community has its dark side, and I've come and found ours. I'm at Dark Lane in Aldwick, which I think is the most bizarre name for any kind of place. It used to apparently be called Lover's Lane and Paradise Lane, which would have been much more appropriate. I think there used to be a lot more trees that would be overhanging the place, and it goes down to Strange Gardens, which is also quite a strange name, literally, to call somewhere. Well, in our passage today, we find that Jesus is dealing with a very dark situation. He's come down from the mountaintop and he's now in the valley, and yet there is a real demonic issue for him to deal with. First of all, you find that the religious leaders are bickering amongst themselves about the situation. Now, that doesn't change to today. That isn't the real work. Here's a dad that's desperate for his son who's having a demonic activity to be free. This is not just epilepsy. Of course they understood epilepsy in the first century, but epilepsy doesn't throw people into fires or water. This is something of the devil. This is something very dark indeed. And Jesus is exasperated that the disciples are trying still in their own strength to sort it out, rather than in Jesus' strength. The disciples have got no power, but Jesus has. So of course this kind of demonic activity can only be driven out by prayer. It's only Jesus that can do it. And that is what Jesus wants people to know. You know, Jesus can continue to surprise us. And yet we can miss out on so much of what he has for us because we don't come to him in prayer. We don't ask him to be involved in our lives and in these supernatural situations where we've got to rely purely on him and not on our own power. So how about you? Are you relying on your power, or are you humbly coming to Jesus in prayer and asking for him to surprise you as we rely on him? Father, please would you surprise us by doing amazing things as we rely on your presence and power. We don't want to see people in darkness when they can have and receive love and paradise. We want to be those that don't just huddle on the mountaintop experience, but come down into the valley and get involved in your ministry. Amen.